And good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And listen, if I seem to be talking louder this morning, it's not because I don't think my microphone is working. Um, I've been experiencing some uh, hearing loss lately. So my wife and I were in Oklahoma City over the weekend. And we thought, well, okay, I'm going to have my ears tested at one of the hearing centers at pardon me, at Sam's Wholesale. Well, the gal looked at my ears and she said, well, I'm sorry I can't test you today because both ears are impacted with wax or other stuff. Anyway, my wife says undoubtedly car grease, junk, and what have you. But anyway, so she said, let me give you some stuff to clean it out. And she said, when you pour this in your ear, you're going to hear it burbling and gurgling and sizzling and what have you. Won't hurt a bit. But she said, this will dissolve the wax and it'll just come right out. You clean it out and everything be good. And I can do the hearing test. Well, we put it in my ears and I lost, I would say, almost 60% of my hearing. I am very, very hard of hearing right now. My wife several times has had to tell me when we were out publicly eating and I'd be talking, it's okay. You don't have to talk so loud. Well, I can't hear. Pardon me. So if I seem to be speaking inordinately loud, and I'm trying very, very hard not to do that, okay? But if I seem to be doing that, then it's because that I'm really struggling with my hearing. My wife is going to get me an appointment this week with a doctor who will manually clean my ears out. I had that done years ago, and it helped tremendously. So anyway, just bear with me on that. Another thing. Some of you have reported, and it's true. I think it's partial preterist historicist. He's constantly changing his name. No offense, but anyway, pointed out over the weekend that my videos responding to the objections to my new book, Torah or Temple to Telos, that is 1 through 9. But 10 and 11 are missing, and number 12 was aired 3 times. Now, I'd be really, really honest with you. I have not a clue what has happened. Now, I do know that last week, as I mentioned to you, as I was processing one of my videos, my screen blinked a couple of times. A different title came up than I had typed in. And then as I began to type again, it reverted to the title that I had begun to type in. I thought, what in the world is that? Well, as it turns out, it had reversed my titles and reversed the title of the videos. Well, once again, I have no clue what in the world happened. I do not know why number 10 and 11 is not there. I most assuredly taped them, filmed them, and normally after I have posted one of my videos and it's been up for a couple of days, I go ahead and delete it in order to go ahead and film the newer videos. I do that to save space on the hard drive, even though I've got like a terabyte. I don't have to do that. But anyway, it's just a habit I formed. So anyway, I'm sorry, I do not know what happened to number 10 and 11. I appreciate partial preterist, historicist, whatever, of calling my attention to it because I had no idea. Literally had no idea. But I'll try to be more watchful of that. Let me say again, I have no clue how that happened. I try to be very careful, making sure I'm, importing the proper video, proper number, etc. But obviously I messed up somehow. Don't know how, I just did. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's get back into our examination of Isaiah chapter 66 and Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following. Now, let me remind you that 9 out of 10 commentators associate the coming of the Lord of Isaiah chapter 66, the Lord's coming in flaming fire with his chariots in a whirlwind. They associate that with Matthew 25, 31 and following, and most assuredly with 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. So we have a chain of linkage, Isaiah 66, Matthew 25, 31 and following, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. Now, very quickly, let me remind you, it's rather amazing what's been going on in the postmillennial world over the last few years. Commentators who have historically applied 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 to the end of the world are now admitting that it is a reference to the AD 70 judgment. That's remarkable. Others who see AD 70 in Paul's Thessalonian epistle say, well, here's what we've got. 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, that's the end of time. So says Kenneth Gentry. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, even it's talking about the parousia, even though it's talking about our gathering together with him, using the same very distinctive Greek word as found in Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather together the elect, etc. Episynagoge. And so we are told, okay, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, end of the world, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, AD 70, even though it's using the word parousia, just like Paul does in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, which of course we are told is the end of time. Confused? Confusing? Yes, indeed. But all of that aside, back to the point that we are being told unequivocally that Isaiah 66, Matthew 25, 31, 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, all speak of the same coming of the Lord. Now, as I pointed out last week, and folks, this is remarkable, most commentators acknowledge that Isaiah 65, Isaiah 66 are the source for Peter's discussion of the new heaven and new earth in 2 Peter 3. John's discussion on the new heaven and earth, Revelation chapter 21 and 22. They admit that Isaiah is the source of Peter and Revelation. But they completely, totally ignore or try to explain away that in both Isaiah 65 and Isaiah 66, the new heaven and the new earth would only come at the time of the destruction of old covenant Israel. How do you ignore that? How do you ignore the grammatical construction of Isaiah 65, in which verses 1 to 15, God describes Israel's sin, refusing to hear the word of the Lord, Israel's sin of abusing the temple, you are those who forsake this holy mountain. And consequently, God said, the Lord God will slay you, call his people by a new name, for behold, I create new heaven, new earth. How do you ignore the grammar? And then say, for behold, I create a new heaven and new earth. That's at the end of time. Folks, that's not exegesis. That's not proper hermeneutic. And it seems to me, seriously, it seems to me you've got to have some really, really serious contextual, exegetical evidence, support, and proof for such a claim that says, oh yeah, verses 1 to 16, AD 70, no. Verse 17 and following, that's the end of time. Or to take the position, as some commentators do, and say, well, yeah, no doubt about it. Isaiah 65 is talking about AD 70. But of course, we all know that AD 70 was the type and a shadow of the real end of the age. Again, Kenneth Gentry's argument. And don't forget, on that note, for the rest of this month, March 2023, U.S. orders only, you get a copy of my book, AD 70, A Shadow of the Real End, ? In which I adduce 15 reasons why AD 70 was not typological of anything, as well as my book, The Elements Shall Melt with Fervent Heat. And obviously, I have an in-depth discussion of the relationship between Isaiah 66 and Isaiah 65 with 2 Peter chapter 3. So if you order these books independently, separately, it costs you right at $48. So during the rest of March 2023, U.S. orders only, total delivered price $32.50. Go to my website, DonKPreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. Wonderful tab right up at the very top. Just click it and order it. And by the way, thank you for all of those who have already done that offer. I tell you, I thought I had a good supply laid in. I thought I'd have plenty. There's been a very, very good response to this offer. I suspect I'm going to have to put back order on several orders. It already looks like it. I'm almost out of the stock that I had on hand. I didn't expect that. I appreciate it, but I didn't expect it quite that much. So I have additional inventory ordered. So here's the deal. If we have to put AD 70, A Shadow of the Real End, if we have to put this on back order and delay the mailing of your order, we're going to send you a free copy of Can God Tell Time, just for the inconvenience. Okay? My apologies. Now then, I'm almost out of time. Here's what I want to get to for the remainder of the week. In Isaiah chapter 66, verse 1, as we've already seen, Yahweh said, "Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. Where is the house that you will build me? But with this I will be but well pleased, with an humble and contrite heart, the man who is poor in spirit. This is the one that I will dwell with." Folks, he's intimating a new Messianic temple, a new kind of temple, the temple of the heart. And then he says something absolutely remarkable. And he says, the one who kills a bull will be as if he slays a man. He who he who sacrifices a lamb as if he breaks a dog's neck. He who offers a grain offering as if he offers swine's blood. He who burns incense as if he burns incense to an idol. Just as they have chosen their own ways, and their soul delights in their abominations, so I will choose their delusions and bring their fear upon them. Now, here's what we need to see, first of all. When he says, the one who kills a bull will be as if he kills a man. That's an abomination, obviously. The man who, as he said, who strikes a lamb will be as if he breaks a dog's neck. Well, a dog was unclean. So, what's going on here? Now, when we go back to Numbers chapter 28, we find that the enumeration of the sacrifices here, the bull, the lamb, the incense, etc., were part and parcel of, number one, the Sabbath day services on which they had to offer two sacrifices, the first of the month sacrifices in which they offered bulls, goats, and lambs. Bulls, rams, lambs, excuse me. I get really confused when I try to figure all that out and try to remember all that. Then, of course, there were the feast days that consisted of the offering of the bulls, the rams, and the lambs as well as a goat. So everything mentioned here in Isaiah chapter 66 has to do with the normal cultic and normal festal sacrifices offered to Yahweh. Again, weekly, monthly, during the festivals. And the Lord said, because of your sin, those sacrifices will become an abomination to me, just like in Isaiah chapter 1. Who's commanded you to offer your sacrifices to me? Amos chapter 5. I despise your feast days. Oh, wait a minute. He commanded them. Why did he now say in Isaiah, why did he now say in Amos that he hated them? Well, it wasn't because of the intrinsic nature, although he never had full pleasure in those. No, it was their abuse. It was their sinfulness as they offered those sacrifices. It was true in Isaiah's day. We'll develop this tomorrow. And it was true in Jesus' day. And thus, what God was saying here when he said, the man who offers a bull will be the same as if he slays a man. In other words, your sacrifices will be an abomination to me. God was saying the temple was going to be destroyed. That temple that they were abusing, perverting, and being guilty of abominations was going to be removed. God was going to dwell instead in the hearts, the mind, the soul, if you please, of the man with the pure heart, contrite spirit, and obedient life. Again, a new kind of dwelling place, a new kind of temple. So we'll look more at this on the flip side. See you there.